Hey guys, I wanted to take the opportunity to shoot just a short little video today, not scripted, just kind of on the fly. I had lunch with a friend of mine this weekend, and we talked a little bit about some fitness related things, specifically tightness in the low back and hamstrings. And one of the big focuses that I have when I work with my clients is this sense of opposition, a lot of kind of antagonist focus during movements, and that extends to stretches and flexibility as well. So a lot of the time when people have like a tight lower back, tight hamstrings, they'll try and stretch them out, but the issue is that they are already being overstretched because of tightness on the anterior side, specifically in the hip flexors, specifically in the psoas generally. So what I wanted to do today was go over a couple of things you can do in two different positions to stretch out your hip flexors, your psoas, to try and loosen that up a little bit, especially if you spend a lot of time at work sitting or have to drive a lot. This can be useful to help kind of reverse some of the shortness that can instill in the hip flexors that causes that dramatic stretch on the other side. So first of all, we're going to aim right at about hip level. So in a kneeling position, if you want to have something under your back knee for a little extra padding, a little extra support, there's nothing wrong with that. So we're making sure that the front foot is nice and planted. We're kind of driving through the heel, and basically we're going to push the hips forward and under, kind of rotate them down. So it's the front is kind of coming up and the back is coming down. So we should feel, we're aiming to feel the stretch right in this area. So the downward facing leg right in here, again, really planting that front heel, driving through. And if you want to move your front knee just an inch or two forward, so we're not going melodramatically far, but it's just a slight deepening of the stretch, and we can make this dynamic and kind of ease out, ease in, not ballistic, not bouncing, but just kind of trying to get a little bit deeper, a little over time, keeping that butt nice and tight. And if we wanted to advance this a little bit, we're keeping good posture, ribs, shoulders, chest upright. We can bring one arm up, kind of come over to the side a little bit, and that extends the stretch up through the abdomen a little bit. We want to try and keep everything collected as well, not slumping into it, but just keeping organized. And getting some of that on the other side. Switching, again, planting that heel, really driving this forward. And again, front knee, shift in just a little bit, deepen that slightly. And again, if we want to introduce this upper body tilt into it to kind of draw through the side. So that's one option. Another, we can get to both areas that we were aiming at there through laying on the back, basically. And with this, I like to use a lacrosse ball personally, at least for the hip specific one. When we're aiming for the psoas, it's probably a little bit better to use your hands just because of the specificity involved. But here we can avoid getting kind of a finger cramp and get some good, solid, consistent pressure on that muscle. So we lay back. I plant one foot, extend the other. I'm going to tuck this into the area where we felt that stretch on the downward facing leg, kind of just right at the hip, kind of where you can feel that muscle crossing over, and it can help you kind of move a little just to get that sense. Just flex and shift the leg. You get a little lateral movement as well, flexion and extension of the knee too. Just basically looking around to find that spot that responds, and then put a little resistance into it. So I'm just using a dumbbell here. You can use a kettlebell. If you just want to use your hands for something a little lighter, that's fine. But here we can really drive into the muscle and put some good pressure onto it and help break that up. We can go through a couple different angles, a couple different kind of movements. And break things up that way. Now, as far as the psoas go, basically where we're going to be aiming is about an inch below and 2 inches to either side of the belly button. So aiming right down here. We don't want to be on the rectus abdominis itself, just kind of getting around the side. So it is a little further back because it attaches at the spine. So it's not going to be kind of a superficial sort of thing right here. It's going to be under a little bit of fascia and a little bit of digestive stuff as well, and there's kind of ways around that. It can help to tilt your knees over to one side to kind of get a little bit of that out of the way, but you can do it with your feet planted. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to use our fingers to kind of tuck in to that area and search for basically what feels kind of like a ropey tendril kind of muscle, basically. So we're at that inch down, 2 inches over, a couple of fingers tucked in, and we have to dig in a little bit, kind of wiggle a little bit, move some stuff out of the way. It might feel a little bit funny, and again, it's not going to be as dramatic as when we were focusing specifically at the hip, but just a little movement, a little flexion at the hip will cause this ropey muscle here to kind of contract, shift a little bit. You can feel that underneath, and when you find that spot, you just give it a little bit of a flutter back and forth over it. Shift it a little to make sure we're not losing it. And you can move up and down it, but it's probably a little easier to just go side to side for the time being. And whoo! Yeah, if you don't get this that often, it's going to be a little sensitive, maybe a little bit ticklish. So you need to shift a little bit just to make sure that you're still on point. There you go, kind of help loosen things up a little bit there. Hit the other side as well. It doesn't have to be long, maybe about 20-30 seconds to a side. There you go. So that can release some of the shortness, some of the tension in the front, that extended, contracted position. So basically loosening that up can help us regain some of the balance in the posterior side and relieve a little bit of lower back and hamstring tightness. So give those a shot. Once or twice a day, taking a little time to loosen things up. If you know you're going to be sitting for an extended period of time throughout the day, it might be nice to just sort of front load your stretch a little bit, get it out of the way early, find some time to do it a little bit later as well. But just keep consistent with it, and hopefully that should fix things over time. So thank you guys.